Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together once again for the class speaker, Professor Yuka Omaro. He has fully done justice to the paper. I'd like to introduce quickly our special guest of honor, the President, Masters Energy Group, Mr. Uchechukwu Samson Oga, OON. It is represented here today by the Vice Chairman, Masters Energy Group, Mr. Vincent Ajala. Mr. Ajala, you're welcome, sir. It's time for the discussion. I'd like to introduce or to call upon Engineer Kadi Shuttle for his own presentation.
All protocols duly observed. The President, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Gwede OON, the guest lecturer, Professor Yuka Omaro, and other distinguished personalities of the high table. First and foremost, I think I would like to introduce myself briefly. I'm a consultant in the oil and gas industry in the downstream sector. I have experience over the years from most of multinational companies before setting up Group Services Associates, and I've been running the business for quite a while. I'd like to thank the organizers of this symposium. I think the second time I'll be here in the last 3-4 months to express one or two things, exchange a few things with you in terms of knowledge acquisition. Well, Professor Yuka Omaro, as Prof said, he has a deep pedigree in oil and gas industry. She doesn't need any further introduction. I've well benefited from her vast experience in the sector. But the title, The New Phase of Petroleum Industry with the Passage of PIB, the local refinery performance vis-a-vis importation and challenges. Well, hypothetically, we are assuming that the PIB will be passed into law. I can say much on the PIB. The authority has spoken. I can only extrapolate some of the contentious issues and it affects the downstream sector. And I quite agree with that. The downstream operators are very silent. They have not really put their involved in the area of lobbying, understanding the PIB in totality. The downstream sector affects the welfare of the people, and the upstream basically is all exploration and production that brings in the resources for the federal government. As of today, you can see the queue everywhere. That shows when the downstream is not working, the nation is in the comatose. We are condensed in about 16 clauses to make the PIB that covers all the sectors of the oil and gas industry. Like I said, I'm not an authority in that area. I'm not learned. I will just derive some of the points that benefits us in the services sector. I'm giving only 20 minutes to discuss about the local refinery. But I think I have a paper. I don't have any visuals to show since I'm not discussing. But I have a paper already given to the house, which photocopies have been made will be circulated later. Well, what exactly is a refinery? Is it right from the oil exploration and production? We produce about 2.5 million barrels a day. Most are exported to earn foreign exchange for the government. A fraction is sent to the 4 refineries for local refinery to meet our domestic needs. As you all know, we have 4 refineries of international standard. But over time, they have been run down to failure. There are nothing to say about. But unfortunately, the government is still pumping a lot of money into the refinery. We're supposed to produce about 445,000 barrels a day from the 4 refineries. if they are working at optimal capacity. But I tell you, unfortunately, we don't have enough statistics. We have various statistics to tell us the refinery, the government will say it's already at 100%, water is already at 90%. But to the best of our knowledge, cumulatively, all the 4 refineries are working between 21 to 30% of the stored capacity. If they are running at 90%, why are we importing? So that's a crucial issue. Unfortunately, the government gives us wrong statistics, wrong information, just to justify the inefficiency. Having said that, I think with the PIB, I will take it from the point that the PIB will be passed into law. Because the rule of law governs, stimulates the economy of a nation. I will read a certain extract from World Bank researchers that says, as a guide to effective policy decision on the economy, there's a paradigm shift in the factors that determine the true measure of wealth of a nation. Tangible holdings such as oil and gas reserve, which is a key element of gross domestic product (GDP), is a depleting asset. Globally, the new template that determines the true wealth of a nation is the intangible asset, as against such an old indicator of GDP. However, one of such new indicators is the combined effect of democracy and rule of law. The rule of law is a measure of the extent to which the individual and corporate citizen repose confidence and trust in the law of the country and abide by them. And as a preponderant measure of wealth creation, a 1-point increase in a 100% scale in the rule of law will boost the total wealth of a nation by $100 in the low-income countries, over $400 in the medium-income countries, and nearly $3,000 in the high-income countries. Therefore, as Prof. rightly said, the rule of law is sacrosanct. If the PIB is passed into law and we're able to run it to the letters, it will be better for you and I, not for the nation. But I'm afraid, from what it is here and there, the PIB is already politicized, sectionalized between the north and the south. People saying we don't want the offshore-onshore dichotomy. The PM will be sustained, will be retained. If you really want to have a full-fledged, a free PIB, free of all encumbrances, I want development and progress for the economy. I think it should be passed in the true sense, as Prof. rightly said. Having said that, I will just look at, since I don't have enough time, they have enough material in the handout that they're giving to you. The total consumption of fuel in Nigeria today, to the best of my knowledge, still remains static as the way it was when the refineries were designed, installed, and commissioned. Like I said, 445,000 barrels per day was the total installed capacity. We actually consumed about 300,000 barrels per day as of today. The remaining 145,000 were meant to be exported to earn foreign exchange for the country. But somewhere along the line, all the refineries, either deliberately or otherwise, were run to fail. They were hardly maintained. Therefore, they could not meet our local demand. Like I said, statistics are varied. On the average, we are saying between 21 to 30%. The daily consumption of PMS has been put about 36 million liters per day. So if the refinery is working at 30%, we are talking of just meeting 18 million liters, sorry, 1/3 of that, 12 million liters of PMS per day. So that means the remaining must be imported to augment our consumption, and that's why you have the crisis we're having now. DPK, about 12 million liters per day. At 30%, you have just about 4 million per day to go around. That's why if you look at the mega stations of NNPC that handles the DPK sales, you see queue everywhere. NGO, about 18 million per day. That means we are able to produce just about 6 million per day. But the truth of the matter is not the statistics per se. What is the status of the local refinery? They are working epileptically. And I'm afraid they have ever work better than the way they are. The oil subsidy issue is a subset of PIB being passed to law and a subset of the regulation. You can see that you have more scams in the subsidy issue rather than an added advantage to the nation. It's a way, because of so many fractions, that people derive a lot of money, the version of the products. We say we consume 30. The government pays a subsidy on about 53 million liters per day. To the remaining 23 million, where do they go? Across the border or inflated figures of which subsidies fees were paid upon. But now let's talk more about politics. Like we said, our refinery are now working optimally. The government, as far back as 1974-75, realizes that they said, look, the best way they cannot sustain the issue of subsidy payment. Let us deregulate. There are so many forces against deregulation, and that's where we're still in this situation we are today. Now, the government licensed about 18 new refineries to be established in the country over time. As of today, I don't know any functional one that we can really call a truly refinery. Even though Mr. President told us they have a million refinery that produces 1,000 barrels, that refines 1,000 barrels of crude oil per day, that's the right, that's a positive development in the right direction. I think they could increase their production far more than that. But I can tell you to build a new refinery as of today, it costs about $15,000 to $20,000 per barrel per day refinery operation. So that means for a functional refinery, energy efficient, environmental friendly, technology driven refinery, to produce about 100,000 barrels a day, which of commercial value will cost nothing less than $2 billion. All the Nigerian banks put together, they cannot fund a refinery. Therefore, thinking about having a new refinery, I think is an illusion. Except, of course, the government is very serious. The problem with Nigeria is not particularly passing the PIB. It's the will of the government itself. Just like saying the Constitution. Who made the Constitution? We are the people that made the Constitution. But we flout the order, we flout the Constitution. And that's why we have a crisis in the National Assembly and the general politics of the country. So therefore, what you are saying is whether we pass the PIB or not pass the PIB, is the will of the government that is very important. Are they sincere? If they are sincere, over time, like Prof said, the PIB shall be passed into law ever since. I think it's just a diversionary tactics to keep us busy. They can have more symposia to discuss our passage or non-passage. The issue on ground is to build a refinery because we need new refineries. I'm against the subsidy money being pumped into the bumping any of the refinery. To me, they are scraps. All they need to do is just like element petrochemical. They should contract lease to refinery operators that have done similar things all over the world. So that the government steps aside and let independents that have experience in running the refinery run the refinery efficiently and financially buoyant so that they can get dividends that are getting an element. So pumping the oil subsidy money into the refinery to me is waste of money. They just spend the money in the bottomless pit. All we need to do is to encourage new refineries to be set up. And to do that, the government has to be the main operator. They have to put down their own part of the money. So that as an operator, international funding can be gotten, people with oil field can be put together as a team player. That's the only way we can have a refinery. Giving licenses to individuals, to me, is just a political jargon. Nobody can fund the refinery. You cannot raise the fund in terms of experience and capital. Therefore, the 18 refinery we're talking about, I think the best thing is to have 3 refineries at the 3 geopoliticals within a segment of the country. I advocated one in Akwa Ibom to be set up either in Uyo or Calabar axis because of the oil exploration activities in that axis from Mobil and other major oil producers in that area. But any refinery without the 9 oil producing states being an equity owner will not work. Therefore, the multinational, the government, the oil producing through NDDC will be a team player in setting up a refinery. That is the only way we can boost our local consumption. Relying on importation will still continue to pay subsidy because as for today, if you are to sell at the open market, the landing cost of PMS will not be less than 160 naira per liter. I'm not supporting the government. They have to pay subsidy because they run the refinery down. Not we, not you, not I. So giving an excuse of subsidy payment is not my business. All we need is one. But like we said, don't keep on paying subsidy if you want to survive. Another refinery will be the Greenfield refinery and the Conference of Nigeria, that is Lokoja area. But then about the flood issue, that can be solved. The third one, maybe within the southwest. Because if you look between Edo, Ondo, Ogo, and shores of Lagos State, you have the heavy crude oil reserves in the excess of 40 billion barrels per day that have not been tapped. So therefore, we can have a backward integration using the heavy crude oil Santa, as a feedstock in the refinery. So the three refinery supported by the government as an equity owner, not as an operator, because you still run it down if they have the major shareholding. But as an independent enterprise, run commercially by the indigenous, multinational, high net worth individual, chambers of commerce, because they have to support and guide their businesses. That is the only way we can have the refinery. Now let me take you down the memory lane. As of today, the US has 173 refineries. Asia Pacific, 137 refineries. Western Europe, 151. Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union, 88 refineries. South America and Caribbean, 76. Africa, 45. Middle East, 42. Canada, 25. Making a total of about 701 refineries. Refinery cannot be run as a government enterprise because government has no business running any business. It will fail. But the one statistic says the refinery can be 100% run by the government, that is deliberately run to fail. It could be as a joint venture, it could be privately owned, partially or fully commercialized, run as a strategic resource outfit, and then run as a business enterprise by individual. The choice is now left to us. But all the government needs to do is to have a level playing ground to encourage people to invest. For example, in the next 20 years, the US will be spending about $150, $160 billion to upgrade their refineries so they can be more efficient, they can be environment friendly. Western Europe is spending about $100 billion in the next 5 years to meet environmental requirements. Eastern Europe will spend about $20 billion to stabilize their refinery. The Middle East will spend about $100 billion to boost their refinery operation. The African countries, it's unfortunate, the status we have here is very alarming. We haven't made provisions for expansion. We have made provision for maintenance. And that's why you have the problem that we are having. So therefore, for us to have an efficient refinery, the government must hand up its hand and encourage private individuals to run the refinery. In Europe, in US, the capacity utilization of refineries is about 95%. In Japan, about 70%. We have enough statistics there to refer to. This will appeal to the Chamber of Commerce to have a new role, like Prof said, it will participate fully, not essentials of reading the and you can see that it is quite somersault. The PRB has subjected to so many changes and additions, the ones are original, ones are original. But the issue that concerns the downstream sector is very, very important. Just sit down, One expert like Prof can lead you into knowing exactly what is that the area that affects the downstream sector, because it's the area that affects the common one. If there's no fuel today, like we remember the general crisis, how the president and federal government, how they were the way they found they were toppled into another society. The time were able to that extent. And that's why various committees were set up to deal with the problems. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of building a refinery, it is well, it's a good business. The amortization period is long. To make money. The lifespan of a refinery is about 50 years. So in terms of local participation, we need concerted effort. The challenges are many, but you don't need to be frightened. Because from the gates of deregulation, it encourages the establishment of one refinery, products will be more available nationwide, there will be more investment window for local and international entrepreneurs. Nigeria can become a hub of supply and distribution in West Africa. It may interest you to know that as of today, Nigeria don't import gas from Congo. This is unfair. But the new policy has encouraged the multinational to pump gas into the system through the LNG for local consumption, making domestic. The multinational, they make more money by selling their gas internationally. It's $1. Because here is heavily subsidized. Therefore, we need to sit down and see what you can do to partner with experts like Prof to guide you or to guide us in the area of understanding what the PIB is all about. So that's why today I don't see any much improvements in terms of performance of the local refinery. No matter how much money from the subsidy removal pumped to the refinery, there's no way you can have 100% performance. Still rely on importation. So we have a shortfall of about 24 million liters of PMS per day, shortfall of about 12 million liters of EGO per day, and DPK about 8 million per day. All has to be met by importation. So therefore, the government should continue to pay subsidy. They are serious about business enterprise. I think the PMS should not be passed into law without the necessary observation made by all the stakeholders incorporated, so that it can create a new investment horizon for you and I. So I would say that I think the issue which petroleum industry in Nigeria has to do with what they call smuggling, negligence, endemic corruption, bureaucracy. The Warren refinery is working, but the government will tell you it is working. Kaduna refinery, maybe 25%. Port Harcourt refinery, maybe about another 22%. That's all the best we can get. So therefore, that is why the local independent marketers, like all the big names you're hearing about subsidy scam, are taking the government to ransom. And that's difficult to actually deal with, because the government relies on them to import. They use their money, they take loan from the bank. And of course, they make money from the system. So ladies and gentlemen, as of today, importation will continue. A lot of challenges are in the sector, but the challenges can be overcome if we are ready to face the issue of PIB. Thank you.